Factoring part 2. What is factoring? Factoring means to rewrite as a product. And you remember, product just means multiplication. What are the steps to factoring? First, you want to take out GCF, and then you want to try the diamond. Now, you remember what goes on the bottom? B. Okay, and you remember B is always with x, and A is always with the x squared, and C is by itself. What goes on top is A times C. Example 1. X squared minus 4. These are binomials. Binomial just means two terms. I'm just going to ask myself two questions for binomials. Is there a GCF? And is it a difference of squares? First of all, there's no GCF besides 1 here, so I skip that part. 4 is a perfect square. What I mean by that is the square root of 4 is 2, and x squared is just x times x. So we can write x minus 2 and x plus 2. Reason why x times x is x squared, negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4. The x times the 2 is 2x, and negative 2 times the x is negative 2x, and the two middle ones just cancel out. Example 2. 9x squared minus 25y to the 4th. There's no GCF here because nothing goes into 9 and 25 besides 1, and there's no letters in common. But if you look at the 9, it's a perfect square. The square root of 9 is 3. And 25 is a perfect square. The square root of 25 is 5. And right in the middle, it's a minus. So I'm going to write my answer right here. The square root of 9 is 3. So I'm going to write 3x and 3x because 3x times 3x is 9x squared. The square root of 25 is 5. So I'm going to write 5y squared. I'm going to put a minus here. Now negative 5 times positive 5y squared will give you 25y to the 4th. And that's your answer. Example 3, 5x plus 10. First question I always ask myself, is there a GCF? And what goes into 5 and 10? 5. 5 times x gives you 5x. 5 times 2. Inside the parentheses, I'm going to ask myself, is 2 a perfect square? No, so you are done. Example 4, x squared plus 4. Now 4 and x squared are perfect squares, but this is a plus, so this does not factor because it's a plus and there's no GCF. Okay, now we're going to get to trinomials. Trinomials means 3 terms. So example A. 3x squared plus 15x plus 18. First question I ask myself, is there a GCF? What goes into 3, 15, and 18? 3. There's no letters in common because these have x's, but this one doesn't. 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times 5x is 15x. And 3 times 6 is 18. I'm going to do the diamond with the stuff inside. This is my A, the 1. This is my B, the 5. And this is my C, 6. 5 goes on bottom. A times C, which is 1 times 6, goes on top. What multiplies to 6? 6 and 1, 3 and 2. My choices. And 3 and 2 give you positive 6. 3 plus 2 is positive 5. Here's my answer. X plus 3. X plus 2 with a 3 outside. Example B. 3x squared plus 5x plus 2. And do the diamond right here because there's no GCF. 5 goes on the bottom because that's my B. 3 times 2 goes on top. 3 and 2 give you, multiply to 6 and add to 5. I'm going to write a 3x because the A is 3 plus 3. 3x plus 2. Reduce this one by 3, so this is going to be x plus 1 and 3x plus 2. Now if you multiply these two, it should give you the original problem. Okay, going to example I. We're going to polynomials, which just means 4 or more. So example I. Copy the problem. 2x to the third plus 8x squared minus 5x minus 20. Now if you count how many terms there's 4 terms. So whenever we factor 4 terms, we're going to group them for right now. We're going to group the first 2 and the third and fourth if there's no GCF. The first 2, the GCF is 2x squared. 2x squared times x gives you 2x cubed. 2x squared times 4 gives you 8x squared. The GCF for the third and fourth term is a negative 5. I always bring down the third term sign. Negative 5 times x gives you negative 5x. Negative 5 times positive 4. Now, when we group, these two parentheses are always the same. If they're not, then most likely we can't factor it. The GCF of these two terms is x plus 4. X plus 4 times 2x squared gives you the first term. X plus 4 times negative 5 gives you the second term. And we are done. We wrote it as multiplication. Example II. 6x to the third plus 10x squared plus 15x plus 25. There's 4 terms, no GCF, so I'm gonna group the first 2 terms. The first 2 terms, the GCF, what goes into 6 and 10? 2. The lowest number of x's is x squared. So 2x squared times 3x gives you 6x cubed. 2x squared times 5 gives you 10x squared. GCF of the third and fourth term